Welcome to the blue-ribboned event in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup. It is the total 24 hours of Spa, a 65-strong entry, 231 drivers, 11 different brands getting set for what promises to be an epic race. David Anderson, John Watson, Bruce Jones and a cast of others with you for the duration of the race. But first, let's look back to the previous round at Paul Ricard. The last race in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup was the now traditional 6-hour race at Paul Ricard. It began in glorious sunshine with a four-way fight for the race lead, Bentley being the assertive brand and a 1-2 for the M Sport cars at the end of the opening lap. Mercedes and BMW both striving to hit the front, but there was hitting of a different sort as Kessel Racing's Pro-Am Ferrari of Michael Broniszewski was tapped into a spin by the Santilok Audi. A fire for Jürgen Herring's Porsche brought out an early full-course yellow. The really enterprising teams elected to make an early pit stop and try to lose less time. That shuffled the order, but it did remain as the two Bentleys up front. 7, the Guy Smith car, leading from number 8. On the next round of pit stops, the two Bentleys came in together. The team cycled them through and was still looking strong as on track, the Ombra Racing Lamborghini rotated. Then drama for Bentley. Number 7 had an ABS problem at the end of the pit straight. The car had to limp its way back to the pit road, but the time lost took it out of contention completely. Others were having their own problems out on track, whether it was mechanical or having to dodge the traffic. Combe-Ledegar and the McLaren having to avoid errant back markers, and then the Scuderia Praha Ferrari that had gone well early on in the race was knocked into a half spin as well. The yellow AF Corsa Ferrari was part of that leading group as the battles raged on and more cars found themselves in strife. The light started to fade, grip levels started to change as well, and the teams in full Spa 24-hour mode had to prepare for nighttime racing. The AF Corsa Ferrari had started near the front of the grid and was very much part of the leading battle. It was Bentley versus McLaren versus Ferrari. There was drama for the Oman racing team Aston Martin as that ground to a halt on the Mistral straight with a gearbox issue, bringing out the yellow flags. The HTP Mercedes team also was in strife. Gearbox maladies putting 84 off and out of the race in the last couple of hours. AF Corsa's yellow Ferrari, though, was storming up the order, taking second place away from the number 58 McLaren, but not for long. Alessandro Pierguidi and Shane van Gisbergen running side by side as they made their way onto the pit straight. Both of them not only squabbling for second place, but chasing the number 8 Bentley, who was looking so strong up in the lead of the race. It was a great battle between Ferrari and McLaren. And then the last round of pit stops began. Bentley pitted under a full course yellow. The Ferrari stayed out. That would be a mistake, but worse was to come for the Bentley team as in the refueling, the car caught fire. The blaze quickly extinguished, but the car would lose over a lap and it fell down the order. It therefore became a two-way fight between the number 58 McLaren of Shane van Gisbergen, which had also pitted under the full course yellow, and the AF Corsa Ferrari trying to play catch-up. The gap was coming down and down, but it was all going to be too little too late as the McLaren ran out victorious for the second time in 3 races in the Endurance Cup. A second win for Rob Bell, Combe-Ledegar and Shane van Gisbergen. The McLaren has always been a good car in sprint, but this year looking ever more menacing, ever more ominous in the Endurance Cup. So can it be a McLaren victory this weekend? Well, in the combined championship, taking endurance and sprint together, Rob Bell from Garage 59's McLaren squad is the man who leads the championship with Maximilian Buch and Dominic Baumann tied behind him. Then Combe-Ledegar with Shane van Gisbergen taking just their endurance points. Laurens Vanthoor and Frederik Vervisch, Alvaro Perrin, Maxim Soule, Andy Soucek all come next in the overall championship. Remember, there is a sprint series point, an endurance series point score, and then the combined for the overall Blancpain GT series title at the end of what is an ultra competitive year. Still one more endurance race to go after this, but don't forget that for the championship you're scoring points here at 6 hours and at 12 hours as well as at the 24-hour mark. So very important indeed that they keep out of trouble and score wherever is possible. We'll have a look at the cars on the grid in a few moments, but first let's just go back to Wednesday afternoon where the cars were in a very different environment.
Okay, on go we go.
Go.
The total the 2016
total 24 hours
of Spa. Challenging, fast, roller coaster. The most awesome GT race in the world.
All-consuming passion.
The biggest GT race in the world. Legendary,
amazing,
Super fast.
the most unpredictable GT race in the world.
The total 24 hours of Spa.
A A feature of the total 24 hours of Spa is the annual parade of the race cars into Spa Town on the Wednesday afternoon. It's a rare chance to see proper race-bred GT3 machinery on the road, and it's a great opportunity for the fans to get up close and personal. There are autographs to be collected, stickers, posters, giveaways, all sorts of things to bring motor racing to the fans.
The greatest GT race in the world.
By rights, Bentley should have been the winning brand for Ricard, but dramas starting the final hour cost the M Sport team a chance of success. Here, the two works cars are eager for a victory, and Maxime Soulet wants a win on home soil.
It's always a special feeling to be driving on your home track, but we know it's a very difficult race to win, we will see where we end up after 24 hours.
Nissan could well be the brand to beat in Pro-Am. The car is well suited to this circuit, and one of the drivers, Ricardo Sanchez, is looking forward to his first 24 hours.
It's amazing. I mean, especially fast corners, the GTR is really good, so we really like this track. The track suits the car, so driving here is just special on the GTR. We don't have to pursue the result, just stay on track, good pace, and we will be on the top, I think.
But what about Audi? Last year, Belgian driver Laurens Vanthoor went off the road and cost himself the chance of a victory. He is absolutely determined to win the Blue Ribbon GT race, his home 24 hours.
For me at this moment it's the biggest GT race there is. So it's the biggest event for us in the year. For me, for Audi, for the team. We won it 2 years ago. Last year I kind of threw it away. So we're back for revenge.
No Spa 24 hours grid would be complete without Ferrari. There are hordes of them here this weekend. Belgian driver Stéphane Lemeret knows this circuit like the back of his hand. He's looking forward to a great race.
I know this track by heart in all the conditions, and the conditions are always changing a lot. Today was raining, shining, and so it's very different weather all the week long, and it's an advantage because I can adapt myself and my driving to the conditions. It will be my 20th Spa 24 hours, so I am one of the most experienced drivers in this race.
Garage 59 brings an extra McLaren this weekend. Pipo Derani, one of the three drivers, but they're on the back foot a little bit, having not been out in previous rounds of the championship.
I think we have a little bit of catch-up to do, especially being our first race together as a trio, and hopefully we can catch up as quickly as possible to be competitive straight away. But these guys have been giving me a great support, and I hope I can retribute with a good result.
Mercedes dominated the Nürburgring 24 hours earlier on in the season. It could well be the brand to beat here as well. Maximilian Buch won the event in 2013 and could do so again.
After 2013, this is now my fourth consecutive Spa 24 hours, and it's always nice to be back. We have the package to be there, maybe at the end, but we need to see, because you need a lot of luck. Everything can happen.
His father won this race 4 times. Maxime Martin has yet to win it. And this year, the Belgian driver is with a new team, a new car, and new challenges. Is it going to be a winning year, or is that too tall an order?
We are coming with a new car, so for sure it will be challenging, but we are looking forward and trying to get a good result. I think we have a really good lineup to make something good.
And there are plenty of the magnificent-sounding Lamborghini Huracans on the grid as well, both in Pro and Pro-Am. And one of the quicker Pro-Am entries is going to be run by the Attempto Racing team. Behind the wheel, Louis Machiels.
It's a beautiful car. I like to drive it. I need to learn a lot more because I just drove it in wet conditions. It's the first time for me. But of course we will make a nice weekend about it. I'm sure about it.
Looking down onto what is a very busy grid, we gather that in the last few moments there's another gap on it. The number 7 Bentley, we understand, has got a fuel pressure problem. They're trying to change the fuel pump, and Guy Smith will have to start from the pit lane. So right up to the build up to the green flag lap, there's drama for some of the teams. The fans have got their vantage points, others have just dropped in. 15 minutes before the formation lap gets underway. Just a reminder about the heritage of the total 24 hours of Spa. The start is going to be on the old pits straight, and then we will have the finish at the traditional finish line coming out of the bus stop. So the start and the finish in very different places. Now, Mercedes was the gun brand across qualifying and Super Pole, but it's a rather long story. The Mercedes have had times disallowed and go into the race with a stop-go penalty. Let's find out more. John Watson's on the grid with Mercedes driver Gary Paffett.
Gary Paffett, 86 Mercedes was the pole-sitting car. Then there was a little problem later.
Yeah, I mean, it was a few issues. I think the first one we got lap time taken away because of the yellow flag, because the McLaren stopped on track, which was a bit silly. And then there's been some strange issues going on with regards to engine mapping or something, but I don't really know because it's not really clear what the situation is, to be honest. We were a bit quick and they didn't like it, and things have escalated from there. But in the end, we've been dealt a pretty bad hand, really.
Aside from the 5-minute stop-go penalty, is this your first 24-hour race?
It's my first GT race, so yeah, it's the first of a lot of things. So it's going to be good. I did an endurance test last year with the car, so I've done some driving in the night and experienced the whole thing. So it's different to racing, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
You surprised just how competitive it is?
No, it's. This race, especially Spa, is super competitive. You know, all the cars are top GT3 cars, and the guys in the top 20 are all very talented. All the cars are very close. So it's I was expecting it to be tough, and it is just as tough as I thought it would be.
Looking forward to seeing more of you in these events.
Thank you.
So Gary Paffett's about to embark on his first GT race, first 24-hour race. He's a regular, of course, with a roof over his head from Mercedes DTM, and you've got to go back a long, long way to find him driving anything else with a roof over his head. I reckon it's a Ford Fiesta back in 2000 at Silverstone when he was then a Formula 3 driver and he took over the guest car for a day, but hopefully we'll see more of him in GT racing. The Mercedes then found to have a technical infringement, and the stewards met and decided that those cars that had been in Super Pole and were scrutineered, the engine mapping was not the same as had been homologated, and therefore there was a penalty to be applied, and that is this stop-go of 5 minutes, and bearing in mind that you lose the 5 minutes by being stationary and 72 seconds driving in and out of the pit lane, it's going to be 2, almost 3 laps. But it doesn't mean you're necessarily out of the game. It could be that others have problems and that brings you back into the mix. It is, after all, a very long race. Spa is as busy as ever, if not more busy than normal for the 24 hours. A huge amount of promotion goes into this event. It's a great weekend for the fans. It's not just a GT race. There's a whole host of support races. The track is busy virtually non-stop from 9 o'clock Thursday morning. If you get here Wednesday, you've got the parade to enjoy as well and autograph sessions. Last night there was a chance to run the circuit as well with the jogging race for both adults and children around the circuit. Lots of people got involved in that as well. So there's a great party atmosphere and a great race in prospect in what are cloudy skies at the moment, but it should still be a good race. Linkin Park here supporting Mercedes. They're here to talk also to our reporter Dakota Jane.
Linkin Park, Joe specifically, what do you think of our beautiful Blancpain event?
I don't know. There's just so much going on. It's amazing. It's like we got to drive some cars earlier, or be driven. We got to go on that bump over there. We got the beautiful car, the champion car right here, the champion driver here, champion brand, Mercedes, AMG.
I heard you guys designed the wrap on the car. Now tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, that was actually Joe, a lot of Joe's work, but
She wants you to rap.
Give me a minute.
Right, and Chester, what do you feel about this? Isn't it an epic event we have here?
It is a very epic event. The turnout's great. I mean, the excitement's really palpable. You can feel it in the air. I'm super excited about the Linkin Park car. We put a lot of hard work and effort into making it look as beautiful as it does, and we try to make it look the way that these guys are going to drive it, you know, really, really beautifully, aggressively. It's a showstopper, pretty much. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the team. I think AMG's going to kick some serious butt today.
Well, thank you very much. I really hope you enjoy it and sit back and watch the show.
Thank you.
And Mauro Engel standing there, winner of the FIA GT World Cup at Macau last year, and winner after an absolutely heroic effort of the Nürburgring 24 hours this year. He got the lead on the last lap, and there is this absolutely breathtaking livery on the Linkin Park back 00 Mercedes. Now, let's stay on the grid, because it's not just about Mercedes. You've got Audi as well being very competitive this year. The 28 car is Laurens Vanthoor and René Rast, and René is on the grid with Watty.
René Rast, you're going to start in the 28 Audi on pole position. Please explain to us.
Yeah, we were also surprised in the morning when we got the message. But yesterday we saw that the Mercedes was quite strong in qualify. unfortunately for them, they made something wrong in their technical, things, and they got a penalty for that. But we just focus on ourselves, try to manage our own pace and see what happens.
Now you're going to start the car. It's going to be sort of flat out, literally, for the 24 hours, but particularly the opening couple of hours.
It's always like that. Nowadays, this endurance racing is not an endurance race anymore. It's like a sprint race. You go from the first lap onwards, you go flat out, which is like a sprint race, and we just try to, build a gap to the others and try to manage our own race.
What does your weather guru say?
So far, it's going to be dry. That's what they say. Maybe some rain expected for tomorrow lunchtime.
We'll take that. Thank you.
So rain tomorrow. You can never really trust the Spa 24 hours to go through completely bone dry. And the fans looking forward to certainly what's going to be an absolutely stunning first couple of hours of the race, where you've got the grid all tightly packed. Go back 2 or 3 seasons. Remember Alessandro Pierguidi's mega moment at Eau Rouge on the first lap, having pledged to John Watson that he was going to take it easy, and cars scattered everywhere in avoidance. Well, hopefully we can get through this year without quite the same dramas. The grid stretching right the way back to La Source. Start line, remember, is opposite the old pits. The finish line, the timing line, the control line is coming out of the bus stop chicane. So the start here, the finish on the other side of that La Source hairpin. Now, Rob Bell is the championship leader after great success in both sprint and endurance this year. And it's time we heard from the Brit on the grid.
Rob, disappointment in the top 20 shootout last night. First of all, what was the problem?
A little gremlin that we fixed. That is one of those things, isn't it? Pole position shootouts are very exciting, and we wish we could have showed our full potential, but here we are. It's a 24-hour race, so we'll not dwell on it, and we're here to go forward, and the car felt good this morning, so we're ready for action.
You're a bit of a mega at these starts. What can you hope to do in the opening laps?
It's a little bit different here. We're going to just keep our head, and if we can, we'll pick them off one by one, and we'll see how far we can go.
Sure you will. Many thanks.
The car ground to a halt on its first of the 2 flying laps in Superpole yesterday. Shane van Gisbergen at the wheel of it, so big disappointment from the McLaren team. But of course, its grid position now helped by the Mercedes fleet that got into Superpole, being given these time disallowed penalties and therefore dropping to the back of the Superpole contest. So, for example, it puts now the 58 McLaren onto the 6th row, and then the Mercedes start rows 7 and back all the way through the 20 cars that did qualify for Superpole, which was yesterday. And it was an out lap, 2 flying laps and an in lap to determine the order of the top 20 on the grid. Now the grid still very, very busy, but John, with his elbows out, has been able to go and grab a word, I think I'm right in saying, with Andy Soucek of Bentley number 8. Unlucky at Paul Ricard. What about here?
Andy Soucek, Bentley number 8. Great start position. You're going to capitalise big time here, aren't you?
Well, there is still 24 hours ahead of us. It's like 9 times the endurance races we usually do. So we need to take it easy. We need to stay out of trouble. I think we have the pace. We just need to make sure we are on the lead lap. We have a good strategy, and we need to look at the sky, see what the weather does. I mean, it's too early to say, but clearly to be in the second row is a good start, and we need to keep up with the front guys.
Now, somebody said to me before the start of this race, it's not a 24-hour race at all. It's 24 one-hour races.
Yeah, unfortunately, people are pushing really hard, and as it has been in the last editions, you're always flat out. I mean, there is no time, no room to relax, and you need to see only the cars that we have around us, all the factory drivers, factory teams. The Mercedes have dropped back, but they will be obviously very quick as well. So we need to keep an eye on everyone, but we need to focus on our own race.
Who's starting you?
No, it's going to be Maxime Soulet starting, and then probably I will take the wheel. Yeah.
Okay, we keep an eye out for you. Well done.
So that's Bentley number 8. 7, as we understand it, still has its strife. So hopefully that car is going to get in the race. New fuel pump, but it's a fuel pressure problem, so they won't know if it's actually cured until the engine fires up. So fingers crossed for that car. Big screens relaying the action to the fans here this weekend, so people trying to spot themselves. And the classes you've just seen perhaps in the background there, one of the pole position signs. You've got the overall contest, but there's Pro-Am, there's Am, and there's also the national competition as well this year to bring in cars that don't necessarily run to full GT3 specification, but you've got a couple of Porsche's GT3 Cup cars effectively in the national contest to look forward to seeing a battle between as well. A number of cars having to start from the pit lane because of engine changes, and there you can see the number 7 Bentley now is, fingers crossed, good to go. So Guy Smith buckled in, and it's not number 7, I'll tell you what it is 24, which is the Callum McLeod Ian Loggy car. Sorry, I was anticipating that the interest from the pit lane was the 7 car, but it's 24, the Team Parker car, that's going to be 8th on the grid. Callum McLeod will start it, Ian Loggy, Tom Onslow Cole and Andy Merrick as the other drivers. Just going back to my pit lane starters for a moment, 89 Mercedes has had a new engine as well, so that car is going to be one from pit lane, the Mercedes, and also 38 Lamborghini have had an engine change as well. This is the circuit, 7.004 kilometres long, 19 corners in all, plenty of variation in terms of the altitude, some fast bits, some twiddly bits, and some narrow bits as well. And really from what, lap 3, 4 onwards, perhaps traffic is going to be a factor for everybody to have to consider, whether you're lapping or being lapped, making sure that you're getting out of people's way. 5 minutes to go to the start of the total 24 hours of Spa. Well, it was busy on the grid. It's going to be a busy race, John Watson, but what a race this promises to be.
Well, I mean, who threw a spanner in the works? I mean, we came in here this morning and we went, wow! It's not the 1st of April. Is it not April Fool's Day in Spa? Not being in Belgium. It could be April Fool's Day because that's what I thought it was all about. The 6 Mercedes that dominated qualifying, some technical infringement, and they've had to pay the penalty. Yeah. What an open goal for René Rast, Laurens van Thor, Nico Müller, or for that matter, Mirko Bertolotti, who told us he doesn't care about the Mercedes, he's going to go for it. And there is our leader enjoying the fruits of many, many, many years of successful 24 hours here at Spa-Francorchamps.
And what a grid he's got, 65 cars, and as the drivers now start to clamber on board, seatbelts done up, Frank Stippler, previous winner of the event, he's going to be another man to watch, you can guarantee, starting in number 6 Audi. Now, you've got the different Audi teams operating cars, but significantly you've got 3 of them as proper Audi Sport factory entries. One is the Team Phoenix car number 6, 2 of them come from WRT, and one of them is, as we've already discussed, 28, the René Rast and Laurens van Thor and Nico Müller entry, which is very much a potential winner. Let's have a walk up the grid then, with on pole position René Rast, and alongside him Mirko Bortolotti's Lamborghini, Maxime Soulet in the Bentley, and alongside him Alessandro Pierguidi's Ferrari. And on the 3rd row there's Robin Frins, Audi number 2, and Frank Stippler in number 6. The 4th row, last year's winner Nick Katzberg, but he's joined by Steph Dusseldorp and the start driver Dirk Werner. 24, Callum McLeod goes first. Then you have got John Minshaw, and the gap is where Bentley number 7 hopefully will be from the pit lane. 99, Maxime Martin goes first, and then Rob Bell's McLaren 58. Then you're into the penalised Mercedes, the yellow car, Thomas Jaeger at the wheel of it, Danny Junkadea in blue 56 out of Pro-Am. The next row of the grid, Felix Rosenqvist, last year's FIA F3 champion, Christopher Hauser. He lost his lap time for track limits, and he's on the outside of row 8. Row 9, Maxi Buch in 84, and Clement Schmidt in 85. The 10th row, the 00 Mercedes, is that of Mauro Engel. Franck Pereira, he's going to start 74 Audi alongside. Then Marco Mappelli, who had an off in the Lamborghini race yesterday, he will start in 78. Matteo Malucelli alongside him. Row 12, Kevin Estra, 77 Porsche. Johnny Adam in the Aston Martin. Behind them, there's Marco Bononomi in 25 and Patrick Pilet in the Porsche. Number 1, Frederic Verviche at the wheel. Francesco Castellacci lining up alongside. And then it's Michael Bronizeski. He's had 2 race wins already here this weekend. Jeroen Merl in the Lamborghini alongside him. Then there should be 57 Black Falcon Mercedes, that's missing, but Matt Griffin's starting in 52. Then there is the Ombra Racing Lamborghini, started by Stefano Gattuso, Fabio Babini alongside. Then it's Liam Talbot and Philip Salaquada next on the grid before the first of the Jaguars. Stefano Ortelli alongside Andrew Watson. The next Jag, last year's winner Marcus Paltela, Giancarlo Fisichella alongside. Lucas Stoltz and Bertrand Baguette are next. Lucas Ordonez and Sergio Jimenez in the Audi alongside. Rino Mastronardi starts 51. Alongside him is Daniel Mancinelli. The 24th row, Martin Tomczyk in the BMW, Duncan Tappy in the McLaren, ahead of Valentin Asclo, and Steve Owen, the Australian, in the Lamborghini of Roger Largo's team. Julian Darras and Christopher Zirkling on row 26. Row 27, Marco Seefried and Rafael Jamaria. Rui Agbas lines up alongside Anders Fjordback, Carl Rosenblad, and then Sean Walkinshaw come next, ahead of Miro Konopka and Thomas Nicole. The next row of the grid, the Porsche, Yannick Malagon, alongside him is Wim Mulders, and then it is Michel Petit at the back of an absolutely vast grid. We've got a couple of gaps on it, as I say, Bentley 7, 57 Mercedes as well, looking like it's going to be a pit lane starter. But how about that for a grid?
Well, I feel sorry for the guys at the tail of the grid, because once these front row grid cars, the lights go out, they'll still be making their way up past the Grand Prix pits. They won't even know the race has started.
Yeah. And there is 57 as the cars now make their way, with Linkin Park waving the Belgian flag to allow the cars the opportunity to go and get some warmth into the tyres. The pit lane starters making their way down the pit road. It's going to be the 89 Mercedes that will start first. of those pit lane cars. You can see it making its way to the end of the pit road. It's a chance now to get a bit of warmth into the rubber, and then the serious business starts for 24 grueling hours.
Indeed, and looking at the start grid, I calculate there were 25 cars in this field that were bona fide potential race winners. Sadly, one of those cars was the number 7 Bentley, but you never know. We haven't seen it yet make its way down to the pit lane exit. You just don't know in a 24-hour race. There are so many elements. You can't constrain. Rennie Rast said, their weatherman said, maybe a bit of rain tomorrow, late morning, early afternoon. But looking skyward, as is ever in Spa, it changes almost by the minute.
And there, looking down on the grid, the cars still pouring their way through. So you can understand why it's such a complex procedure getting the start. Absolutely orchestrated to start at 4:30 local time. And remember that although it starts going past the endurance pits, the actual finish is coming out of the bus stop. So the formation lap underway. The cars working their way out of Bruxelles now. This section of the circuit is not the widest, but it is still possible to do overtaking around there, and that's something they've all got to factor in during the course of the race. We've had a walk up the grid already and looked at the cars. Let's just remind ourselves of who starts as we enjoy the majesty of this wonderful venue. The grid will scroll through and you can have a look at the different brands. You can see not only the start driver, but also which brand is where on the grid. So Audi's up near the front, the Mercedes now towards the back end of that top 20, given the penalties applied.
Yes, and of course, most likely all six Mercedes-Benz will make their pit stop for that 5-minute stop-go penalty at the end of the first racing lap. They can't do it on this parade lap. They can only do it once the track goes green, and I suspect we'll see 6 Mercedes-Benz coming in line astern to stop in the respective pits, sit there for 5 minutes, just over 2 laps and a bit, and then get back into this race. And they're going to have a very, very long evening here in Spa-Francorchamps, and long hours into darkness through the night. And it'll be only maybe by the morning that they can maybe get back one of those laps if they're in that position.
Now, one thing to factor in this year is that there is only one safety car. We've had 2 in the past. It's going to be one line. Any safety car period will start with a full course yellow. Slow everybody down. Then the race director will bring out the safety car to pick up the train of cars, and therefore hopefully always make sure the race leader is behind. There's that allotted time that you must adhere to. You can't be under if you're changing more than one tyre and of course refuelling. Everybody has a 5-minute so-called mechanical pit stop this year to try and give, in a sense, some of the smaller, lesser competitive teams, less well-funded teams, a chance to fight with the big boys. The big boys don't like it because they feel they're losing an advantage, but it's the same rule across everybody, so you've got to make the best of it.
The key to those 2 pit stop windows is the 78 second. That's the length of time it takes from when you enter the pit lane to the point you exit the pit lane. It's a 78 second gap time zone, and that therefore is so critical to getting everything else fitted either within the 1 minute 55 for the very quick pit stop or the 2 minutes 15 for the full service and driver change.
And we're going to see that over the course of the race. A stint, the maximum you can do is 65 minutes, 70 if the safety car is out at that time. You can stay in the car because it resets once you've gone over the timing line, but 65 minutes is the most that you can do in a stint. So the Spa 24 hours began in 1924. This is the 16th time it's run for GT cars. The 2016 total 24 hours of Spa is about to get underway. The cars work their way out of Blanchimont into the bus stop. This wonderful spectacle of a 65-car entry. Not everybody on the grid, as you've been told. There are quite a number of people having to start from the pit lane because of engine changes, and the regulation says start from the pits. That is the number 66 Lamborghini, run by the Barwell team. Phil Keane at the wheel of it as the cars work their way up past the Formula 1 pits. Now, at the command of the race director, they get themselves into the Noah's Ark 2x2 formation. Dominic Baumann at the wheel of 84 here, turning his way down towards La Source. And the start will be a flag start as the cars turn their way out of La Source, then up towards the start line. And so the 4th round of this year's Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup, the total 24 hours of Spa about to get underway as this absolutely fantastic field accelerates up towards the line. The flag will wave, the race gets underway, straight into the lead goes René Rast as they dive downhill for the first time. It's going to be the Audi in the lead, just moving through ahead of Mirko Bortolotti in the Lamborghini. 3rd goes Maxime Soulé. 4th, it is the Ferrari of Alessandro Pierguidi as they file their way through Eau Rouge for the first time. And now the long climb up towards Lincoln for the first time, John.
Yeah, so clear advantage to René Rast. Mirko Bortolotti was slightly more hesitant in trying to take the jump on the Audi, but everybody cleanly through the Ferrari, trying to sneak up the inside into the first part of Les Combes.
And look at that, there's barely any tarmac visible. This enormous field pouring its way up towards Les Combes, 2 abreast, 3 abreast in mid-pack as they wriggle their way through for the first time. Number 49 Ferrari in the middle of it is there, really on a big charge. It's the car that was quickest yesterday when Maxi Götz was at the wheel of the 86 Mercedes coming down towards Brussels for the first time. The car being started by Thomas Jaeger, who knows these Mercedes absolutely inside out.
And we've got to keep an eye on those Mercedes. They will have to make that mandatory 5-minute pit stop. We believe it'll happen at the earliest opportunity. We suspect it's going to be at the end of this lap. So they're using even every opportunity right now to make up ground, because what they can save here is seconds, and that could pay dividend come the end of 24 hours.
Working their way for the first time out of Pouhon then, in towards the Piff-Paff. And just look at the length of the line, and as I said early on, it won't be long before traffic becomes an issue. You're on board with the Nissan GTR at the moment, coming down towards the right and then left at the Piff-Paff, hunting for a way up onto the tail of the number 3 Audi, on board with 23 then, the overall Cup car with Lucas Orjoniev going wide, and up and past him goes number 60 McLaren there. That was Duncan Tappy darting through, and already there's a car off the road. It's the 333 Ferrari. Marco Seefried at the wheel of it, and he doesn't do things like that very often.
No, and he's going to need assistance. He's bogged down. He's going to have to get one of the snatch vehicles to remove that car, so that'll be a yellow flag down there until that car is able to get back onto the track. So the cars are coming up to the completion of what would be normally a first flying lap, but that will only occur when they come across the line now.
And I'm looking to see, yes, there they are, Mercedes, 4 in at the end of the first lap. So it makes absolute sense. Get them out, get the stop done while the gaps aren't that great between the cars, and then they've got that long battle to try and get back up the order.
So they've got 4 of the 6 in. The other 2 will probably come into the end of this second lap, so they don't want to put too much pressure on the teams that have got 2 cars that have been penalised.
So as you say, 4 of them have come in, significantly one of them being 86, the Jaeger car, and also 00, very much the favoured Mercedes, the Linkin Park sponsored Black Falcon run car. Maro Engel at the wheel. It's the car on all the posters for the event, and you always got the feeling that Mercedes was here. I suggested to try and beat the opposition. John said to crush the opposition. Well, that plan's gone a bit awry.
Well, I mean, after the top 20 shootout on Friday evening, I should say, they did crush the opposition, but to no avail, because there was found to be issues with it, and slow, and we got the full course yellow already.
It's going to be for Seefried's Ferrari, isn't it, to get it out of the way. So it's the first of many, full course yellow, after just 1 lap. Oof, time to catch your breath, isn't it? Start all over again. Marco Seefried, I still would have expected, got there with a bit of outside help.
Yeah, I mean, that looks like it was down at the 5th lap, or Fania as we probably call it. It's just at the exit of the long double left-hander at Pouhon. You come down into that tight right, then the tighter left. So probably just got squeezed on the outside, maybe a little bit of assistance, and sadly that car, the 3-3 Ferrari, which we always know to be a very competitive car, here this weekend without Norbert Siedler.
Yeah, indeed. Just to catch up on pit starters, everybody has got into the race. Guy Smith is in, and so too is Hubert Haupt.
Who's this playing advantage to? Those 4 guys in the pits.
Absolutely right, absolutely, because they're losing less time being stationary, because these are slower laps. So if you got it right on that first lap, you've done absolutely well. If you're in the next wave, you're going to really struggle. So this, a replay of the start. You see René Rast take the advantage. Cars filing their way through Eau Rouge for the first time. Different shapes, different sizes, but perhaps more importantly these days, different sounds as well. Wonderful spectacle, GT3 racing. So the cars powering their way up towards Les Combes for the first time. So the remaining Mercedes will have to pit under this full course yellow. That actually might be slightly more beneficial to them, because the Mercedes that are in lost half a racing lap. The ones that have yet to come won't lose any racing lap, because we're already under that full course yellow, assuming it's over a lap's worth of full course yellow.
So there's the replay of the start as they make up the camel straight up into Les Combes, and René Rast did what he had to do. He got that Audi number 28 into the lead. Nice to be able to control, but you can just see the depth and extent of the field that we've got here this weekend. 65 cars, not all of them in this group. 2 of them are starting from the pit lane. Still waiting to see has the 7 Bentley been able to join in.
Yes,
it has. So there we go. There. Now, how long have they got to go on the clock? You can almost have a cup of tea and a biscuit waiting for this 5 minutes to count down.
Well, surely if you're Maro Engel, you listen to your Linkin Park CD, don't you? You just listen to the next album and then you can rejoin. So
he may do of an age.
Of an age. Marco Seefried, the one that's brought out this full course yellow. straight away we're talking about these cars being on the back foot, but of course so's that Ferrari, because that's going to lose time while it's got to be hoiked out on the gravel. It'll be interesting to know how it got there, but massive frustration.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I suspect it was on the outside of Fagnon that just got edged out onto the gravel.
Yeah.
But of course they're waiting for the snatch vehicle, which has just only now arrived. And of course we're just seeing cars filtering through, so that's going to be another delay until this whole group of cars goes through before they're going to attach a snatch rope to the back of the Ferrari and drag it clear.
Trying to work out whether they were going to try and put it straight forward onto the road or back across the gravel onto an access road. Either way, those Mercedes are about to go one lap down. Now, we've had 4 of them in. Let's see where the next wave will pit. Because, of course, is there room in the pit garage? The other 4 are still there. So, if you come in now, it's not too bad if you're in the endurance pits, but it's not easy in the top pits.
No, in the endurance pits, you might think you've got a marginal advantage. This is the Grand Prix pits, so the current pits, so the more Mercedes don't stay out.
I think it might be to try and get some space within the pit lane. So there are, what, 6 of them, and 4 have to come. Full course yellow continues as the lights flash. We saw the repeater on the side of the road, and these 5 minutes controlled by the teams, and it includes the drive time, so all that's monitored by the timekeepers.
But if the 5 minutes is up and the train of cars are still making its way around La Source down to Eau Rouge, and they get to the pit lane exit, they're going to have to wait until that entire line of cars filters through. So maybe the advantage they thought they were going to gain has been offset by what will happen when they get to the pit lane exit. They're going to have to sit there yet again.
Fair point. So it could be an extra delay at pit out. There's 88, the car, Felix Rosenqvist, ready to go. And 86 ready to go as well, I think. But yes, still the line of cars comes. And it's been a long operation to get that out of the gravel, because what they've done is try and tow it across onto an access road rather than put it straight out onto the tarmac. Right, Thomas Jaeger has finished his book. So too Felix Rosenqvist, getting ready to go. Everybody, of course, here just trying to maintain some temperature and some tyre pressures as they move around. Right, away goes Jaeger, away goes Book, away goes Engel. And in the other pits, already at the far end, but having to wait for his time to elapse, is Rosenqvist. Of course, his stop started later, if that makes sense.
It took another 20 seconds or 30 seconds
to get to where he
Yes, so we're waiting to see the 3 that were on the Grand Prix pits, let's call it that, who are probably making their round the top of, or inside of La Source, then waiting to see them appear. We haven't really seen them appear yet, so it's
such a long and such a slow route, isn't it?
Here they come. Yeah.
So they've lost a lap. It could have been a whole lot worse than that. They should get ahead of Rosenqvist, but only just. The clock ticks down, but I think he was sort of behind them in the queue anyway, wasn't he, because of where he had qualified. So here they come, and Rosenqvist lets 2 of them go. Does he let all 3 of them go? Yes, he can slot in at the back. He's got another 23 hours and 51 minutes to gain place. He doesn't have to do it in the pit lane, does he?
No, I mean, it would have been unfortunate if there had been a pit lane incident because of one car trying to squeeze in between 3, but sense prevailed and let 3 that were there first get that position. I mean, it's all irrelevant. We've got 23 hours, 51 minutes remaining. And what a difficult start for HTP. You can see etched on Alex's face there the tension that he's been going through all through the evening and through the hours up until the start of this race. So there's the Ferrari being finally pulled to somewhere that it can be fired up. And hopefully it'll get back into the race.
So that also has lost a lap, and the Mercedes likewise, but you know, that's not been quite as bad a penalty as it could have been. It's going to hurt the other 2 if we go back to green flag conditions pretty shortly. Yes, they've gone down a lap, but with still 23 hours and 50 minutes to go, they've got that out of the way. By the way, that is not the 5-minute mechanical pit stop that everybody has to serve. That's an additional one. So they're still going to factor that in, but you know, they could have done worse out of that.
Yes. The Ferrari, it is at the Fagnon, but as opposed to being on the outside, it actually spun into the inside on the gravel, so a slightly unusual place, and that would give me a sense that there was a bit of assistance to pump the Ferrari into the right-hand side rather than expect it to go off, as is normal at Fagnon, on the outside on the left.
And so the cars under this full course yellow are having to be at 80 kilometres per hour, and if you go faster than that, it will all be recorded within the data that's available to the race control team. Alain Adom is the race director. He has an assistant. There is an assistant to the assistant, a lady called Jackie Groom, who looks at all the data. She's got the real poison chalice because she's the one that's got to keep on top of all the paperwork, looking at how long people have been behind the wheel, looking at delta times of cars under these full course yellows and making sure that 65 cars are all adhering to those regulations. So it's a pretty thankless task, but she does it incredibly well, and it may well be that if anybody transgresses, bang, you'll know about it very shortly.
Yeah, and it's those unsung heroes behind the scene, if you like, at an event like a 24-hour event here at Spa-Francorchamps, really are the people that make it happen.
Yeah,
because without them, there wouldn't be an event.
And so the field turning its way then now up towards the completion of lap number 3, with René Rast leading the way. Behind him, Marco Bortolotti in the green Lamborghini, Maxime Soulet third, Alessandro Pierguidi's Ferrari fourth, Robin Frins fifth in the Audi, and the top 6 being rounded out at the moment by the best of the BMWs of Dirk Werner. Now, why is the Ferrari being held? Is it for a gap in the traffic?
I think they're just waiting till the traffic, the whole line of traffic has filtered through, so there now it would appear either to be a gap or whatever that last car through was. And look at the damage, rear, right or left rear has gone down. Now maybe that obviously was more the reason why the car may have gone off. Because the left rear had either been cut down by riding a curb or maybe something on the track, but clearly that's going to be further delay for the Ferrari. It'll have to make its way very slowly.
More Mercedes for the pit lane, I noticed there, diving in.
Yeah, 2 more. There'll be 2 remaining cars. Well, one of them in, for sure, and that's the
85.
85, 84, 85.
Yeah. So the one I'm not yet accounted for is the Junqueira Morley Toriel. We go green, and René Rast was not awake, was he? Because he's lost the lead.
He's got a problem, I think.
He has got a problem. The car won't pick up, so he's down to second. It is now Bortolotti in the lead. Second is Pierguidi. René Rast trying to get round the problem. Has he got enough speed? He has, but he's got Maxime Soulet crawling all over him as we go racing once more. Can the Audi get round the problem? Was it a driver error? Was it something more significant than that? Either way, Rast looks like he's going quickly enough, but you're on board with Soulet challenging for 3rd place.
Yeah, into Les Combes. Soulet trying to get a bit of a slipstream. René Rast holds the inside of the line into the Les Combes. Nothing the Bentley can do, but I don't think René Rast got caught out. I think there was an issue that he had to make a reset on the car to ensure that he was able to pick up pace, which he did do on the engine and the radio.
I think you could be right. 77 Porsche, you just saw there. Kevin S from Maxime Soulet, despite trying to pounce in the way that Alessandro Pierguidi did, can't find a way yet past Rast. So now, Mirko Bortolotti leads in the Lamborghini in the 2016 total 24 Hours of Spa, and he is trying to get clear of the opposition. The onboard shot you had was from Soulet in 4th place as the cars now work their way down towards Pouhon once again. Dirk Werner in the BMW through, and they're going great guns behind him. You've got Callum McLeod. Now there is Clement Schmidt. So the Mercedes back into the race as the cars accelerate their way now into the pit.
56, 84, 85, and 86 and 88 will have to perform a stop-and-go penalty of 5 minutes in front of their pit garage.
So confirmation from Alain Adom, the race director, of what we've been seeing with the Mercedes making that penalty pit stop. I think all bar one has now done so.
Yeah, I think it's the way we are. We got the first 4 came in at the end of the first lap. Then we had the full course yellow. The 5th of the cars came in on the 3rd lap. We're still waiting for the final Mercedes to make its pit stop. So they have staggered them for probably the reasons that they've only got a certain amount of space in the pit lane to hold the car. And that's the plan, that's the system they've got. But Mirko Bortolotti in the lead, given a real gift with the hesitation of the 28 Audi. René Rast suddenly just didn't have power when he put his foot down. It was almost as if he was still in effect on that 80 km/h speed limit button, and it hadn't disconnected. That's all I can assume was the reason why he just hung back, and then all of a sudden clear up the Camel Straight and back up to normal pace.
So Mirko Bortolotti leads the way from Alessandro Pierguidi, René Rast 3rd, Maxime Soulet 4th, and Robin Frins 5th. 6th is Dirk Werner, 7th now in 24 is Callum McLeod. In 8th place it is Phil Keane, so that's the top 2 in Pro-Am, McLeod and Keane. In 9th place is Frank Stippler, and 10th is Rob Bell, the championship leader. Another of the Ferraris there putting a lot of weight on the left rear corner going through Eau Rouge as they're charging up towards Les Combes. 74 Franck Pereira staying ahead of 99 Maxime Martin. That is a change for 11th place, just happened going into the braking zone.
Well, I mean, it's just a hard race already. Interestingly, the battle at the front. There's 2 seconds between first and second place, but the Ferrari of Alessandro Pierguidi actually now fastest in this first sector. It all is about chipping away, getting a tenth of a second here, another advantage there. Some cars are good in the first 2 sectors, or sorry, first and third sector. Some are good in the middle second sector. The Ferrari, I suspect, is probably better in the first and third. Nevertheless, great pace, and we'll wait to see what the gap is between the first and second cars when they come across the line at the end of lap 5.
Alessandro Pierguidi was a real star in the Paul Ricard race, doing his best to get back onto terms with Shane van Gisbergen for the race lead. And here he's hunting down Mirko Bortolotti as well, trying to chip away at that lead gap. He was quicker in the first sector, and in the middle sector, just losing a little bit of pace, however. But there's the race-leading car. The Lamborghinis then, years ago, we used to talk about Hans Reiter running them. He is here running a car in the race, the Australian Gallardo, but the Hurricanes for the Lamborghini Squadra Corsa operation, run by the Grasser Racing team, which has taken Lamborghini. I know it's a different car, but it has taken the success to a different level.
Yes, I think Gottfried Grasser has come in with the Huracan. No history, just focus on what you've got. There is the Mercedes that has been in for its 5 minute. It's going to go out. Well, it may manage to. It'll be interesting to see the pace of the Mercedes. Can it extend it from the lead Lamborghini? The gap as they came across the line, well, Alessandro Pierguidi took about a tenth of a second out of that advantage over Mirko Bortolotti. Not particularly significant.
So the gap is 1.9 seconds. There in 666 is Phil Keane, and he turns his way out of La Source. You're riding with the red and green Lamborghini. Phil Keane is your chauffeur.
So down the hill, and that hill is a lot steeper than it appears on camera. Take a lot of curb on the inside, then set it up and just aim for the curb. Hopefully you've got a car that's with you over the top of the radio. Car gets slide, you run the curb on the outside and you think, oh, I got through it yet again. Now you can breathe for, about 15 seconds on this long uphill Kemmel straight. You can brake a little bit later than you might normally think because you're braking uphill. Then turn into Les Combes, the first part of this 3-part corner. Take curb on the inside on the left-hand part. Take curb on the exit on the right, but be careful not to overrun on the exit of the final bit of Les Combes.
There's the Emil Frey Jaguar, number 14, hustling on to try and gain track position. Stefan Ortelli, winner outright in this event in the past, making his way up towards Les Combes. You've got the Ombra Racing Lamborghini through on the inside of 59. The Jaguar sat on the back of that group. It has just gained a place, though, because Ortelli has got himself up and past one of the Ferraris there. But he's also hunting for a way past Giancarlo Fisichella. So big battles right the way through the field. And you might think, what are they going so quickly now? Why are they battling for position? They've got 23 3/4 hours to go. You've got to keep on pushing because, as you made the point earlier on, this is a 24-hour sprint race and you never know what's around the corner, so you need to push down, try and build up a gap, build an advantage, because it might disappear in the pits.
Yeah, I think it was really rest. I said this is 24 one-hour races all linked by pit stops, as opposed to what most people perceive a 24-hour race to be an endurance race.
So there the fleet of Mercedes running in formation, and that's actually shuffled a bit, hasn't it? Because Felix Rosenqvist got himself up a couple of spots looking the Acura ASP car, but their pace is quite intriguing now. Yes, they've got to get through traffic, and yes, they've got to get their lap back, but they're easily, as you might anticipate, I suppose, picking their way through the AM Cup cars here.
Yeah, but of course their lap times are about 3 seconds a lap off the lead cars, because they have got to make their way. So while they are considerably quicker than the cars that they're overtaking, they're not able to run at their true natural pace, which would be very close, if not marginally quicker than that of the lead cars. On that last lap, lap 6, actually Mirko Bortolotti for the first time has dropped out of a 2-minute 20-second lap, and he's now about half a second a lap slower than that second place Ferrari, which is now down to under 1.5 seconds behind it in second place.
Now that stop and go penalty for the Mercedes had to be taken within the first half an hour of the race. It has been extended by 8 minutes because of that full course yellow period. So for the Mercedes that has yet to serve the stop, it has got a bit more grace. And we have then the cars currently at working lap number 7, and the race leading car, the Lamborghini and Mirko Bortolotti, getting away a little bit, 1.4 seconds as the field punts its way once more down through Eau Rouge. Now where's the next big battle going to come from? Well, they're everywhere right at the moment, aren't they? And here's another one, look, Barwell Lamborghini 78 coming under attack, Marco Mappelli at the wheel of it, and he's got Matt Griffin charging along behind him, the Irishman then in the AF Corsa Pro-Am category Ferrari. The green Ferrari creeps up the inside line. you've got to be good to fend off Matt Griffin when he's got the bit between his teeth, and Matt goes through on the inside, gains another spot.
Yeah, a good, well-judged overtake. It was tight, it was a bit of a squeaky moment, but he got it done. Right, a lot of curb on the inside, of course, driving proudly with his IRDC badge on his overalls. And for the public at large who don't know who the IRDC is, it's the Irish Racing Drivers Club, exclusive to Irish. Surprise, surprise.
That's right. Now, Maxime Martin is under investigation for possibly overtaking under the full course yellow procedure. So number 99 BMW running 12, but being investigated.
I mean, I can't imagine why Maxime Martin would want to do a schoolboy error, commit a schoolboy error like that. It may have been something we didn't see. We haven't seen as we look at the 23 Nissan. Interestingly, both those Nissans this morning ran quicker in warm-up with fuel on board than they did in qualifying with no fuel. Part of that was, of course, due to the red flags in that second of the two qualifying sessions. But nevertheless, they found something overnight, and they're looking to make progress. They're looking at maybe coming through the night into the morning and then judging where they are.
Michael Bronizeski there, number 11, just losing a place. Up and past him goes Stefano Gattuso in the Ombra Racing Lamborghini there, the red, white and blue Lambo. Bronizeski, a double winner this weekend in the GT Sports Club contest, so he's already coming here with 2 trophies in the excess baggage hold and losing a place. But in Pro-Am, that's another car that we have seen over the course of the season go so well. 59 McLaren, Andrew Watson, a Northern Irishman at the wheel of it, running in 28th place. And the race leaders then currently on lap 8. There it is, the leading Lamborghini, and the gap is down a little bit, 1.4 seconds as Alessandro Pierguidi hunts down the Lamborghini. So it's all rather Italian, first and second. René Rast third, so it's Lamborghini, Ferrari and then Audi ahead of Bentley in fourth.
But the Ferrari coming through a Rouge over Radio, to me, looks the slightly more comfortable of the two cars. The Lamborghini, the little bit more nervous and twitchy of the two cars, and no doubt. And that gap looks to be a little bit less than 1.4 seconds under braking into Les Combes. And rather that first sector on this lap, again, the Ferrari has got that fastest sector time. So 1.4 seconds as they came across the line at the end of lap 7. It might be down to around a second. Here's another battle all the way through. I mean,
fantastic,
give us a break, guys.
Now, Frederic Verviche, number 1, has just got past 78 Marco Mappelli, but Mappelli is up on the outside line, and he's taking with him, look, 75, which has got Philippe Salaquadra at the wheel, and at the wheel of 100 is Jerome Mull. This is for 21st place, but it's as fierce a fight as you'll find anywhere at the moment.
Well, I mean, all through the field, certainly for the first half hour, it's going to be jockeying for position because everybody's so pumped up. Everybody's saying, well, I'm not going to race hard on the opening laps because I know I want to finish this race. But as soon as the visor comes down, the lights go out, it's the familiar red mist.
So the car's turning their way downhill, and we're on, as we say, lap number 8 now. So the field having to contend, in some cases, with traffic, and of course, in some cases, trying to unlap themselves. In the case of the Mercedes fleet, working their way up through the slower cars. This is Pouan. Nissan booming its way out of that downhill left-hander. Lucas Ordóñez at the wheel for the opening stint of the race. An effort being made there, up the inside in 55. Francesco Castellacci goes by. Good move, that.
Yep, a difficult place to get the overtake done, but he has done it well. That was a clean overtake, caught slightly unawares, and used that opportunity to gain another position.
Indeed so, and the race-leading gap is down to just 9/10 of a second as they go over the timing line. So now Alessandro Pierguidi absolutely on a charge, and he's hunting down Mirko Bortolotti, the race leader. Alessandro used to race Maserati MC12s. Of late has very much specialised in Ferraris. Bortolotti very much specialises in Lamborghinis, so they both know the cars inside out. The field pouring its way there. Look out of Blanchimont. This is sort of 21st, 22nd, 23rd, all the way down the middle order. There going through is the Conrad Lamborghini, number 8 Bentley there in 4th place. Maxime Soulet closing again onto the back of René Rast here, but is he close enough to make a move up towards Les Combes?
No, not at this phase. I mean, the idea what probably 20 metres ahead of the Bentley, and René Rast is having an uneasy ride. That restart didn't get the car rolling at anywhere near the pace would you expect, and suddenly now the Bentley is really in a position to make his life further uncomfortable.
So they're turning their way round Bruxelles. So Bentley 8th, 4th. The other car, remember, Guy Smith, starting from the pit lane. He's just gone down towards La Source, but in 50th place, doing reasonably good lap times. And number 7 significantly is on the lead lap. Might be about a third of a lap back, but it is on the lead lap and chipping its way up the order, as also is Hubert Haupt in 57.
Again, there's sort of the gap between the Audi currently in 3rd place, the Bentley, it seems to be sort of seesawing. It's as if the Audi loses pace somewhere and the Bentley picks up the pace. Again, now as they come out of Pujo down into the Fagnes, the gap has once again closed down. So I don't know whether René Rast is having to carry a problem and manage it as best as he possibly can. Another clean move up the inside. So it's just all the way through the field until we get to maybe the first round of pit stops. Then things might calm down. Gap still at the front, just under that 1 second.
Now that 5-minute mechanical pit stop that everyone has to serve, yes, you can do the discs and the pads within it, but you can do other things as well. So it could be that if Rast has got a problem, might be a bit early to do brakes, but they might be able to get through without doing them at all. So you could use that 5-minute pit stop to cure whatever this current problem is with 28.
Yeah, I mean, we're assuming there is a problem, and it looks to me as if the car's performance is sort of ebbing and flowing from lap to lap, but right now René Rast's lap time, well, it's within about a second of the 2 lead cars, the Lamborghini and the Ferrari.
And there, down towards the bus stop, is Franck Pereira, Christopher Hasse behind him, Maxime Martin in 99. No more news about any penalties heading his way. Marco Seefried, incidentally, currently 4 laps down after being off and then having to limp back with the puncture and get the damage sorted out and a new tyre put on.
Robin Franz has moved up into 4th place. Somehow or other, we didn't see that overtake, getting ahead of the Bentley. So now René Rast has got the comfort of having another Audi behind him to storm off the attack from the number 8 Bentley.
Yeah, just wondering if Maxime Soule had a moment somewhere, made a mistake, and that put him off his stride.
I think it is. I mean, his last lap was a 2:23 against what had been a 2:21, so somewhere a little bit of time lost by the number 8 Bentley.
Now there's somebody that's become a real hero this weekend, Callum McLeod, who many years ago was British Formula Ford champion. He beat Nick Tandy on his way, but he wasn't a very fashionable driver in many respects, Callum, so he was overlooked and has struggled for budget, struggled for drives ever since, really. He's had the odd historic Formula Junior outing, but in a GT car, he's being rehabilitated, if you like, into international motor racing and goes very strongly indeed. And this weekend has really turned in some great lap times, and he is leading Pro-Am at the moment for Stuart Parker's Bentley team. There is Callum McLeod, that flashing number on the windscreen, the Lumirank display is his class position, so 01, not the car number, not the overall position, but his class position, and a class leader is Callum McLeod at the moment.
And the other way you can recognise the Pro-Am cars is that the background to the numbers is a black background. So there we see the leading Pro-Am car coming through Fagnes, and that number 8 car, not that far behind Robin Friend, another sleeves of the Parker Bentley, is not that far behind the 98.
That's right, so there, Mauro Engel trying to find his way through the traffic. 00 is 61st, it's still a lap down, but the pace is bringing it up through the traffic. So the Mercedes teams here just have to press on and see how long it takes to get back onto the lead lap, if at all. They will be able, of course, to do some of that on pit stops, but it's going to be a very jumbled order. For now, though, they still are a lap down, so it's not even a case of making progress, it's a case of trying to unlap yourself.
Yes, and I mean, that is going to take minimally, unless we've got more safety car or full Courchevello situations, it's going to take probably the best part of 6 hours under normal circumstances. Such is the pace of the entire field. And remember, those cars running down in the 60s are only able to run at the pace of those cars that they're trying to overtake. They're not running in clear air, such as the lead cars are doing. And in fact, the lead car, Marco Bertolotti, has managed to stretch his advantage to back slightly over that 1 second to 1.2 seconds from the Ferrari.
So the race leaders currently work lap number 11. More variety in the pack there, look, as you've got the Kaspersky Ferrari 49 trying to work its way up past the BMW Team Italia entry and up towards the bus stop. Lamborghini under attack, BMW to the inside. You've got this great mix all the way down through the order. Number 15 BMW then turning its way through. It's the car being started by Martin Tomczyk, former DTM champion. That was in his Audi days, now very much part of the BMW factory effort. And at the back of the group comes down towards La Source this long line of cars. And there, behind the Mercedes, is Bentley 7 right there. So that is Guy Smith up into 49th place. Now, the case for him is very similar to the Mercedes. He can only lap at the pace of the cars around him. He's trying to work his way through, but he's got the advantage over the Mercs that he's on the lead lap. He might be a long way down the order, but he's on the lead lap. And also up the road is 57 Mercedes Hubert Haut. Same situation, pit lane start on the lead lap.
Yeah, but what the Mercedes doesn't want to have to do is battle past a car that's got a very similar straight line performance and ultimately lap time performance with the number 7 Bentley, which is trying to play catch up as much as the 84 Mercedes-Benz is doing directly behind him.
So Book pulls out, has a look. Guy Smith fends him off for the moment. This isn't really a battle for position, of course. They're on different laps. The Bentley is 49th, and I said Book, I mean Baumann, is 62nd as the cars drop downhill. Vincent Abril not yet enthused by this battle. Frustrated by the fact that the car wasn't able to start from where he wanted it to on the grid, but Guy Smith hustling on. Now, Guy is a bit stuck, but for the moment behind Julien Darra at the wheel of the Boutsen-Gignon BMW. Somebody going very, very wide there, coming out of Speaker's Corner, almost towards the tyre barrier. Meantime, race leader Mirko Bortolotti comes over the line. He leads the way. We've done 11 laps. He's only 1.1 seconds up the road ahead of Alessandro Pierguidi as they come to La Source.
René Rast hanging in there, having, we believe, had a number of problems, but it seems to have now got that into control. René Rast's last lap was the quickest of the 3 lead cars, so he's back in this battle for the lead.
Absolutely so. So René Rast pushing once again. And as the race leaders work their way out of Eau Rouge, the lights flashing all the time, the traffic is ahead. And there is Rast, who is shaking off those behind. But of course now it's not Sule he needs to think about, it's Robin Frins. So it's an Audi Sport WRT car ahead of the Belgian Audi Club Team WRT car here.
And in fact, the 3rd and 4th place Audis look very, very committed as they came over the top of radio.
And Bortolotti being delayed in the traffic, and Pierguidi sideways right on his tail as they try and pick their way past the Porsche number 911. Down the hill they go, absolutely together now. So Pierguidi right on the tail of Bortolotti, nose to tail they run around Bruxelles. Lamborghini leading the way, Ferrari tucked up behind, and of course that little bit of lappery has brought Rast a fraction closer, but then he has to get past the slower car.
Yeah, but it was unfortunate. Bertolotti caught the Porsche at a difficult part of the track, and the Porsche didn't really do very much to assist the lead cars come through without delay. So Bortolotti, the big loser, the Ferrari, a big winner. We wait to see whether the 2 Audis behind, well, they've gotten through. One of them has gotten through cleanly. That's René Rast. Next one up, Robin Frins. Ought to have no trouble. He might be able to make a pass even down into Fagnes, the corner we're currently watching.
So out of the pith path, the right and the left. At the start of this lap, 2.6 seconds, covered the top 3. Should be down on that now that they've got through the back markers this time around. So the cars working their way out of L'École, once more towards the Cours Paul Frère, and Alessandro Pierguidi chipping away at that lead margin. Rast very, very wide there, coming out of L'École up towards the Paul Frère corner, named after the great Belgian journalist and racer. But we know under the balance of performance, we've seen it many times, John, a car catching another is one thing, but then having got there, it's so hard to get past.
Yes, I mean, the balance of performance has worked so well this year that the lap time of so many of the cars are virtually equal, but it's not the lap time, it's the parts of the circuit where you gain that lap time. Sector 1 and Sector 3 are the high-speed bits of the track. Sector 2 is the more technical aero part of the track. How you set your car up for this lap, well, that's between you and your engineers. But right now, Ferrari right on the tail of the Lamborghini. And I would imagine we're going to see Alessandro Pierguidi try to just put an anchor rope out to the back of that Lamborghini through Eau Rouge and up over Radio, and then use that slipstream to try and get up alongside. Bertolotti pulled a little bit coming down the hill, but it's so minimal that the 2 cars virtually equal in terms of their pace up through Radio.
We're starting to get driving standards flags being offered up. Number 34 Ferrari is being given one. That is the Scuderia Praha car for not respecting track limits. So the more times you offend, the more serious the penalty becomes. Matteo Malucelli at the wheel of it. There going through is number 50, Alessandro Pierguidi. Then he's almost on the tail of Bortolotti. Now, last time around, the quicker of the top 3 was Rast, but Robin Frins was quicker still as the car got itself up into contention, and Frins, having said he's faster than the top 3, is also now being told about track limits at Blanchimont. So the 2 things, I'm sure, are related.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just part of being a racing driver. You go and go and go to the limits, and then suddenly, oh, you're slightly over the limit. It's being noted, and there will be severe penalties if drivers persist. And it's not just the driver, it's the car that will be penalised, not just the driver. Finally, 84 Mighty Book gets past Guy Smith. He'll be relieved to have done that. It's taken him 2 laps since he caught to the tail of the Bentley to get the Mercedes ahead. Just one position.
That's right, so another spot gained. How is the championship leader Rob Bell doing? 10th in 58 McLaren from Garage 59. The team run by Bas Linders, of course, who was the man behind the winning team last year. Then it was Mark VDS Racing. Great little Ferrari fight going on here, look, as the cars work their way through Les Combes. 888 coming under real attack. That's Liam Talbot. Rui Aguas is behind him. And then Martin Tomczyk as well, looking for a way past the Lamborghini as they work their way once more out of Les Combes down the hill. So here, Liam Talbot, these are cars in the AM Cup as well, but they've got bronze, very quick bronze drivers in them, sort of slightly changing the situation, because you normally think of the AM Cup cars being right at the back. 33rd and 34th, these two.
And I mean, Liam Talbot coming off the success of an AM victory back at Paul Ricard, the 6 hours there, and he is not, in the sense that you would describe as an amateur driver. He's not a professional driver, but he probably could move up one more grade in his license. And that would also be something that maybe he wouldn't be too keen to do.
Well, no, not at the moment. And his AM status is because he's not done that much racing, rather than not being very successful, if you like. So, yes, you're right, he will get better and more classified.
Just watching him coming through Fania, he's Australian. If you think of that other great Australian three-time world champion, Jack Brabham, what is it about Australians that know how to put a wheel over the grass on the inside of the corner, throw up a load of muck and rubble into the face of the car that's following you? Liam Talbot did it coming around the first part of Fania, this lap.
So he hangs on, therefore, to his 33rd place, and crucially, the class lead. This is the AM Cup lead battle. Now, it all becomes rather more relevant tomorrow when we get to the end of the race, but for now, great little scrap going on between these two as they work their way down towards the bus stop behind. Look, Martin Tomczyk is absolutely determined to find a way past Lucas Stoltz in 19. And can he do it? Not there, he can't. And then tucked up behind them is Lucas Ordóñez in 37th place in the Nissan. Now, car 77, which is the Kevin Estre Porsche, is being given its last warning for track limits.
Well, they've got 23 hours and 23 minutes to go.
Good luck, Kevin, then.
I mean, are you going to get 4 warnings, and then are you going to get that, don't want to say it, black flag?
Well, I would imagine the first one is a drive-through, then if you keep offending, it's a stop-go, then it becomes a longer stop-go, and on it goes, depending on how much you offend. But on the timing screen, we have car 77, last warning, and the team manager of the Attempto team, Akin Arka, has got to go and see Alain Adon and take whatever penalty is coming, or at least get the message across to his driver, you're in strife.
Yeah, I mean, the pits should be communicating to the driver. They've all got radio, they've all got the capacity to say, you're abusing the track limits, you must not continue to do this, because then it's going to hurt us, the team. It'll hurt you as well, but it's the team we're here concerned about.
But odd in the sense that somebody as experienced as Kevin Estre is doing it. Yeah, I know he's going to push hard, but I'm surprised he's doing it lap after lap after lap after lap.
I'm surprised as well, but Kevin is a guy who's flat out or nothing.
Now that is the Mercedes, which is 85, and that's its second pit stop. So this is a problem. Behind is the Danny Juncadella car, serving its 5 minutes, but 85 has already been in. Remember, we saw that on its own after the original 4. So why is that car back in? This is significant.
Well, it looks like it's back in. Nobody's working on the car. I mean, we need somebody in the pit lane to bring us that information.
Now, I'm puzzled about that, because either it didn't do a long enough time and he's having to make up the difference, or it's got a bigger problem here. So there, 49, which is Rui Aguas, another of the drivers of that car, Stéphane Lemeray, who as a very quick Belgian journalist, has been around here in so many different types of racing car, could almost do the lap with his eyes closed, and previous winner of the race indeed, Stéphane Lemeray, brought into this team and will be a major asset to the squad this weekend. Now, we will, in a moment, have use of race control.
Reminder to all teams to respect track limits, mainly in turn 17 and turn 3. So a reminder to all teams to respect the track limits, mainly in turn 17 and turn 3.
Merci Alain. So turn 17 is Blanchimont, turn 3 is effectively coming out of Eau Rouge and running wide there. So the warnings are coming, the teams are being told by the race director, and there, down the pit road, comes the number 60 McLaren, that's the Duncan Tappy car. Now, we're anticipating pit stops at about the hour mark, because the most you can do is 65 minutes, so these stops now, coming, 40 minutes or so in, very early indeed. So, as Duncan Tappy brings the car down into the pit box, There, the Ferraris get themselves side by side, and this is Rui Aguas going for the AMP Cup lead. But Liam Talbot has got a very leaden right foot and tries to maintain the advantage on the way up towards the Les Combes sequence of corners. Is he going to go through on the inside? Yes, he is. So through goes Aguas. We understand from news from the pits that 85 Mercedes did not stop for the full 5 minutes, so it's had to come back in to kind of finish it off, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, it looked something that wasn't mechanical or electrical. And I mean, how do you make a mistake? You've got a stopwatch in your hand. 5 minutes is 5 minutes. 4 minutes 25 is not 5. I don't know, then that's weird.
Absolutely. Unless did he drive out too quickly, and therefore the 5 minutes of stationary was good, but the drive time was quicker. It has to be an extra 1 minute 12 on top of the 5 minutes. I'm hypothesising, but it could have been that rather than just the actual stop and go penalty bit. However, the net result is 85 is even further down the order as the leader, Mirko Bortolotti, tries to maintain his advantage over Alessandro Pierguidi. 63 goes through the traffic on the outside line round Pouan. 63 at the moment being driven by Anders Fjordbach, another of the GRT cars, but a long way down the order. 38 that is, but at the moment I'm trying to find anybody that's on their own. It seems that all the way around the lap there is either a little battle or a long line of cars. There is so much happening out there at the moment, and Mirko Bortolotti leading the way, but he's on his toes because look, he's got all the back markers to contend with, and he's got Pierguidi breathing right down his neck now.
Can't get any closer. In fact, it's almost hurting the Ferrari being that close to the rear of the Lamborghini, because his pace is not being dictated by that of Mirko Bortolotti. He can't dive down the inside into Bruxelles. He didn't have the momentum.
Drive-through penalty to car 77 track limits. Drive-through penalty, car 77 track limits.
So Kevin S gets a drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits. The voice you hear is the race director, Alain Adon, who is becoming an honorary member of the commentary team. He's been busy. He's very busy.
But what part of the message disregarding track limits does Kevin Estre not understand? I mean, maybe his radio's gone down. We don't know. Yeah. There's a myriad of things that can contribute to a driver not fulfilling his obligation. But now 4 times he's been guilty, particularly at turn 17, the exit of Blanchimont. So he's getting a drive-through penalty.
Years ago, when he started off in Porsches in the German Championship, Kevin was a bit wild, but you know, he calmed down. He became part of the McLaren factory squad for a year. Porsche picked him back up, didn't they? He's back as a Porsche factory driver now, and he's normally a pretty good pair of hands, but I'm surprised he's doing this.
I mean, the only thing I can assume is that, I mean, he must know that he's running over all 4 wheels over the exit of Blanchimont. It's a very quick corner. The reason you do it is just to help the car come to the exit of the corner. There is the 77, the Porsche, Kevin Estre behind. I'd love to see him coming through Blanchimont on this lap to see whether on his way in, I'm assuming this time, I mean, again at the exit of Stablo with the Paul Frere curve. So let's get a look at the Porsche up the hill. There it is, coming through the first part of Blanchimont. Now the critical part is the entry into the corner. 4 wheels off on the entry, not about the exit. Well, he's okay on the exit. This time it was on the entry.
But you're bang to rights, aren't you, if you do that lap after lap after lap, and the race director's got the video evidence as well, so Kevin S doesn't even come in yet for the drive-through. Now, that does make you wonder whether the radio messages are working, because surely the team would have said, drive-through, come in and take it and get it out of the way.
I mean, he's driving the wheels off the Porsche. Yeah, he actually had the car dirt tracking coming through turns 18 and 19. And Kevin Estre is a driver who's flat out all the time. It's like the throttle's like a switch. Yeah. He only knows one way. It's either off or it's on.
And that car, although there aren't that many Porsches in the race, should have had a decent chance in Pro-Am, because Estre is very quick. Nicolas Armindo makes mistakes, admittedly, but he's a quick driver. And then you've got Clement Mathieu and Jürgen Hering, who are decent AMs. The leaders work their way down to Bruxelles. Keep an eye to that. But to finish the Porsche point, they're being compromised by, supposedly, the star turn in the car.
I mean, he's done it 4 times, and he still has to come into the pit lane to serve that. My team 74 to race control, team manager of the car 74 to race control. That's the ISR Audi.
It's from Pereira. Not from Pereira's car. There's Robin Frins now, working his way past Miro Konopka as they drop downhill out of Pouan.
Robin Frins, bit by bit, has begun to close down onto the tail of René Rast. So the 2 Audis running 3rd and 4th. The gap between 1st and 4th between the lead Lamborghini and the Audi is 2.5 seconds.
So Alessandro Pierguidi pushes on. We are about 15 minutes or so away from the end of the first hour, and therefore the expectation of the first pit stops. So some of the teams will be getting ready shortly. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in terms of fuel and tyres, whether they feel that they can keep a set of tyres on. It's not the hottest of days. It has clouded over a little bit, but I suspect that at least for data, they'll put a new set on straight away.
I think when you're doing the full service, any time that you might save by not doing a pit stop for tyres, you lose on the track.
Now let's go back to the pit lane and catch up with Indy Doncher from number 85. He's with our reporter Dakota J.
Indy, you just come in a second time. What's going on?
The first time we had some problems. We had a slow puncture, so we came in, and the second time we did a stop and go penalty we got from Superpole. So we had to stand still 5 minutes, which didn't help us at all for a good result at the moment.
All right, fair enough. Well, hopefully you can get your time back up, and we'll see how the rest of it goes.
Yeah, well, you never know what happens. They're pretty strict at the moment on the track limit. So yeah, maybe some others get some penalties, and we can go to the front. But yeah, let's see what happens. It's still 23 hours, so let's see what happens. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
Even allowing for the puncture, though, it still seems a very late decision to bring the car in rather than trying to get it done earlier on, because they've still lost a big chunk of time. And as I say, they wasted the opportunity even before that puncture hit to bring the car in, so that puzzles me a little. There's another car being given a last warning for track limits. It's the Conrad Motorsport Lamborghini now, number 29, which was started by, he says, hunting down the order for it, Anna Franz Conrad's team, Christopher Zirkling. Now, Zirkling, again, is not an inexperienced driver, so what is he doing? Repeatedly ignoring track limits.
Yeah, I think it's a whole new world for the entire field. They were given a briefing before they even got into their race cars. They were given a further briefing on Friday to enforce the point that track limits are going to be enforced. They just haven't got their head around the fact that they don't realise that everywhere they go, they're being observed by observers on the outsides of corners, on-board cameras. We're picking it up and sometimes advising it.
Now, the 23 Nissan losing more places, I'm afraid. It was 37th, and Lucas Ordóñez trying to gain ground back up again, heading up the hill as the Am Ferrari there rides over the curve. That's Liam Talbot, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
888.
It is indeed. It looked like it was a bit of a clunky exit over the top of Radion, maybe too far over the curb, and they set the car off. That's given the Nissan the opportunity to get up alongside, and again takes that position. So the 23 Nissan, Lucas Ordóñez, sort of stuck in again a group of Pro-Am cars. That is the Pro Nissan in this race. As we look forward and see, there's the Mercedes. Again, the same problem for the Mercedes. It's just got to cherry pick at appropriate places on the lap where it can get through cleanly. And hopefully, the car that he is passing is aware of what's going on.
Now, just bear in mind, Kevin Estre yet to stop. He still hasn't served that drive-through. It does make me wonder, and you touched on it earlier, John, whether the radio may be working or not. But either Kevin is really hacked off with life and doesn't care, or he's not getting the message.
The Lamborghini is coming over Eau Rouge and Radio, and it's hopping, skipping and jumping. It's a real handful from what I can see here in the commentary booth, whereas the Ferrari very, very much smoother. Don't know what they've done to the setup of the Lamborghini, but it does not look a comfortable ride for Mirko Bortolotti right now. The gap just half a second.
And there is Maxime Soulet in 5th spot in Bentley number 8, settling into a rhythm now, isn't he? He's not necessarily catching, but he's pressing on, doing decent lap times. And there is 24 Callum McLeod, who's got a golden opportunity here to prove his ability. There's another driving standards flag. It's going to become the talking point, I'm afraid to say, of the entire race, isn't it, this? But 89 is the one now being shown that. Michael Lyons, British driver for, guess what, exceeding track limits.
He's a nice chap. I didn't think nice chaps did things like that.
Kevin Estre's just pitted to serve his drive-through. So from 15th place, Kevin Estre comes down the pit road. They've actually done a good job, I reckon, to haul that Porsche up to 15th. Wow, look at this! Absolutely congested at the bus stop. And there's no waiting. Here they come over the timing line. Hubert Haupt in the Mercedes versus Guy Smith in the Bentley. They're up to 42nd and 43rd. So they've had a pretty decent hour, allowing for all the traffic. They've chipped their way up the order, those two, running virtually as one, aren't they? Guy Smith just sat on the back of Haupt, letting Hubert do the hard work and find the gap and then just follow him through.
Yeah, I mean, the Mercedes and the 7 Bentley are having a struggle to get through the mid to tail field of these cars. They have to be patient. If they try to be forceful, they'll end up doing themselves probably more harm. Look, 3 abreast coming onto the Camel Straight. The Mercedes up alongside the Nissan trying to make it again 3 abreast as they come into the braking area of this long Camel Straight. The Mercedes got the advantage, but the Porsche, the 77 squeak as Kevin, he's not going to give that up. He's done his pit stop, or his drive-through, I should say, and he's going racing. I'm here to race. I'm not here. I've got a quick car. I'm not going to give it up.
I kind of wonder whether Kevin feels I haven't got a chance of winning Pro-Am, so I'm just going to go as quick as I can while I can. So can't blame him for that in a sense, but they've already lost time because of his zealotry with that drive-through penalty. So you've got cars being lapped, cars unlapping themselves, and cars racing for position, all in this long queue going down the hill. Fantastic sight.
In the meantime, the gap between the first 4 is now extended because the first 2 cars have gotten through traffic. 3rd and 4th are now having to deal with that, and that's the ebb and flow that you're going to see. But it's this kind of battle, I mean, late 30s, early 40s, you're driving your heart and soul out, and what are you going to do? You just have to wait and see. There's only a number of places on the track where it's possible to make a clean overtake, and a driver, maybe it's an AM or a Pro-Am car, they've got to give you some slack to let you get through cleanly. That was a case in point. The Ferrari stayed over to the right, let the Mercedes get through. Now Guy Smith's going to hope he gets the same kind of service from those cars that he's now chasing.
So the Lamborghini accelerating its way towards us. This is on board with Phil Keane once again. He's trying to get through the traffic, and there's an awful lot of it in front of him as the Demon Tweaks car tries to get up past the Ferrari 42 of the classic and modern racing team. This is the Thomas Nicole car.
But you see, I mean, it doesn't even have the straight line performance of these cars is so equal that the Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini, by all rights, should have been able to get through. Now he's boxed in with a Porsche on the one hand, the Ferrari on the outside. The Ferrari's been, I suppose, demoted to the outside of the corner completely, but it's taken 4 corners to get the job done. The McLaren, the 58 McLaren, now in a position. Rob Bell really for the first time able to put a bit of pressure onto that 666 Lamborghini. So just managing the traffic, it is utter frustration for these leading the top 20 cars now that they're getting into the tail of the field. And you think you can get past one car, but when you got 2 or 3 of them all fighting within their own battle, and they may not be within the same categories. So this is one of the issues. The 99 BMW and Maxime Martin currently in 14th place.
So there are the leaders over the line. Just out of interest, 86, the Thomas Jaeger, Gary Paffett, Maximilian Goertz Mercedes has had another pit stop. Now, that might have been a strategic one to try and get out of sequence against everybody else, so do it effectively a short first stop. It wasn't a long stop, so I'm not convinced it was necessarily a problem. Could have been a puncture. We haven't, I'm afraid, been able to double-check that, but the car, there it is, making its way through the pit lane, is about to rejoin, but that is another blow because it's lost even more time by another pit stop. Now, assuming that it was strategic, it will get that back as everybody else serves a stop, but for the moment, that car even more delayed. There it is, coming down the pit lane.
Remember, this has got to be no more than 1 minute 15 seconds, otherwise that'll be a penalty. So we don't know the reason why the Mercedes made its way back into the pits, but making its way back down the pit lane. 78 seconds is the time from pit lane entry to this pit lane line now, and whatever else time you've got 27 seconds to do what you want to do, otherwise it'll be a penalty.
If that penalty works, if you do fuel and more than one tyre. So it depends what they did to the car and whether it therefore fits into that element of the pit stop regulation. It's back on track, but it was 60th and it's lost even more time now. So Thomas Jaeger back onto the circuit, but it's starting to look like a rather long slog for that car now, isn't it? 34, which was in strife earlier, being warned about track limits. Matteo Malocelli at the wheel of it goes through. He's been quick all season, hasn't he, for Scuderia Praha. And there is Thomas Jaeger, part of the Mercedes development programme, former DTM racer as well. Massively experienced, very successful also in the FIFA 17 backed car. Making his way then now down to the left-hander at Speaker's Corner. So the pace that it's showing now doesn't suggest that there's a problem. So could it have been a puncture? Could it have been, as I say, a chance to get him out of the same strategy as everybody else? Do something different to try and roll the dice and bring that car back into the mix.
Still getting them, and way wide coming out of Pujo. So Mercedes has been in for that service. We don't know quite the reason for it. Making progress as the Ferrari, the white and red Ferrari, went way, way wide on the exit. The gap between first and second has extended for some reason. It was under half a second at one point. Now it was 2.5 seconds. It's now back to 2 seconds. Whether that was purely traffic, hard to tell. Whereas the third and fourth Audis likewise have been dropped. But it's the gap between third and fourth, as we see Robin Freins, is now within just a second of the sister car of René Rast.
So working lap 22, you're right, that lead gap is going up. We're up to 2 seconds now. Rast still hanging on to his third. And in fourth place, Robin Freins, Maxime Soulet and Dirk Werner, the best of the BMW drivers. We've not really yet touched much on the Rover Racing M6s, but Dirk Werner is there. In Pro-Am, it is still Callum McLeod ahead of this car, Phil Keane, who is keeping Franck Pereira at bay. So Phil Keane has got some pretty big star names behind him. Pereira is right on his tail as well, though.
But significantly, the 58 McLaren has dropped back 2 places. And there's the 2 Audis that have taken those 2 places, Christopher Haase and Frank Pereira. And now Phil Keane's feeling the heat from these 2 cars as they come up over radio. And look just how close Pereira is to the back of the Lamborghini. This is going to be an attempt at an overtaking manoeuvre. Lamborghini maybe slightly quicker just because of its different profile than the Audi, but Pereira very anxious indeed. Can he make a move up the inside? He's going to try, but he's not going to be close enough. And just behind in the 26, just sitting there waiting, Christopher Haase, wondering when this is going to happen. The inevitable, are they going to have contact? A rear tyre on
That's
that
Hubert
Mercedes.
Haupt. That's the Hubert Haupt car that started in the pit lane. So Haupt has got a puncture. I was about to tell you as well that Robin Freins in fourth place is on his last warning for track limits, but 57 Mercedes. This started from the pit lane because of an issue, not because of a penalty. This has got a puncture now, so Hubert Haupt coming towards the pit lane. Now, I suppose, given that we're only 3 minutes away from the first hour, they can convert this into a routine pit stop, even though it might be a bit premature.
Yeah, it'll take it at least another minute and a bit to get up to the pit lane, so it's going to be well within their pit window. So, say, if you're going to have a puncture, have it at a point where it's convenient within your schedule to see out that penalty.
So that's going to drop Haupt down the order, of course. It's going to give Guy Smith a place. He's up to 41st now, as there is Mirko Bortolotti. As I say, we're nearly at the end of the first hour, so you can anticipate pit stops starting to come pretty soon as they work their way over the timing line. Pierre Guidi dropping back, and there in fourth place is Robin Freins. Remember, he's on his last warning about track limits now.
I don't know what excuse Robin would have, frankly, because I know he's been pushing hard to catch up to the tail of the 28. Audi in third place. He's not somebody who doesn't understand what he needs to do. He knows the limits, particularly at turn 17, up at turn 3. There are other bits of the racetrack where drivers have been penalised for running way wide. Oh, look at that, just so close between the Ferraris coming over the radio and almost contact between the 2 cars.
So up towards Les Cons, you've got Marco Seefried, of course, pressing on. There is Hubert Haupt. So this is what you might call the full service. It is fuel and tyres, and therefore it starts to fall into that pit stop regulation delta time window.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you've got to be lucky, not just good, and this is a case of this tyre deflating. We don't know whether it was a cut-down tyre or whether there is maybe a little bit of debris around the racetrack. And, of course, those inevitable carbon fibre shards that do end up being flicked around, and they'll cut the tyre down quicker than you can say it. So the refueling process is now complete. The jacks are up. Driver change, no, it's going to stay in. It's not going to be a driver change, just changing the driver's drink bottle. And all 4 brand new sticker tires going on to the Mercedes-Benz. So only 2 of the team allowed to work on this tire change, and it's a very well choreographed piece of work by all the teams to do it as quick as possible. And of course those tires that are then being put back into the pit have got to be secure, because if one of those rolls forward, that'll be an infringement, will be a drive-through penalty. But there's nothing nicer than a brand new set of tires when you have come in, and particularly having had a puncture, the car will feel awful. But when you go back out of the pit, as the Mercedes is about to do, slightly slow, waiting for, is there traffic coming in the pit lane? What's the delay? Why are they holding the car? Why are they holding this car? There's nothing clearly in the pit lane I can see. Is that a miscommunication between the pit wall and the pit lane?
So it has to fit, of course, before that minimum time is completed.
Yeah, it would have been the minimum, yeah. So
leader into the pit lane. Mirko Bortolotti down the pit road, so Alessandro Pierguidi is going to take the lead in the yellow Ferrari. The leader is in there, bang on the hour mark pretty much, look. So down the pit road comes Mirko Bortolotti. Well, he's driven a good first stint, hasn't he? He's managed to get the lead, he's managed to fend off the challenge of the Ferrari, and he's managed to work his way through the traffic.
He's done it with a car that has not looked the easiest car in the field right now. You know, they're running at a high speed pace, a high level. The Ferrari has looked much more comfortable here, in particular in the transition through Eau Rouge, over the top, coming over Radio. And the Lamborghini has looked very darty, very nervous. You know, it's difficult for a driver to drive a car like that for a 24-hour race.
Also in there, 51, which is Rino Mastronardi in the AF Corsa car. And you've got, by the look of it, Phil Keane coming in, yes, in 666. So another Lamborghini down the pit road. But Mirko Bortolotti stays behind the wheel. You can double stint like this, but a stint is counted from when you leave the pit lane to when you come back in, from one of those timing beams to the other. The Demon Tweaked Barwell mechanics go to work. There's fuel to be put in, and the tyres, Mark Lemmer's team running 2 cars here this weekend and toiling away. There's the Grata Racing Team car, blast out of the pit lane. So, of course, they've got the long drive now all the way down to Eau Rouge, all of which, of course, is still under pit lane conditions.
Yes, and it's 50 kilometres per hour all the way down this very long in pit lane, then round at the inside of La Source, back down the hill, past the Heritage pits. As we see the Demon Tweaks Lamborghini and its service about to come in on the wheels and tyres. And teams are practicing this throughout the weekend. When the car's not on track, part of the duties of the teams is just either driver change practice or wheel change practice, just to ensure that everything works seamlessly.
And after 24 hours of doing it, you are a very tired tyre changer, aren't you? Because they're big, heavy things, and you've got to be so precise and so quick, and try not to make the slightest mistake. Bentley from Team Parker in the pit lane there, you just caught a glimpse of out of the Cup. As away goes 666 then. Down the pit lane goes Phil Keane. So we have Alessandro Pierguidi now leading for René Rast. That's the situation out on track. And René Rast, it is, trying to hustle on and catch this car. Does Pierguidi go for another lap, or does he come in? He's going to go for another lap. Up towards the timing line comes the AF Corsa Ferrari. So over the timing line goes the Italian. He shares with Michele Rugolo, another quick Italian driver, and Pastin Lathoris, the Thai, who in a pretty short space of time has done a lot of mileage and got himself up to a very good pace. The team manager of number 99, Maxime Martin's BMW, being summoned to race control as well, as now battle is on for 4th and 5th places. Maxime Soule coming under attack from Dirk Werner. Down they head towards the La Source hairpin, and Christopher Zerkling's Lamborghini getting a drive-through for exceeding track limits. So the Conrad Lamborghini of Zerkling, drive-through penalty for track limits. More and more of the pit stops now cycling through, and here 4th place, rather 4th place, side by side. Soule versus Werner, Bentley versus BMW, and Maxime Soule, the Belgian driver in the Bentley, keeping Dirk Werner at bay. But now the BMW is going to challenge as Phil Keane darts out of the pit lane ahead of them.
Yeah, that's not what Dirk Werner wanted to see. The Lamborghini, well, not up to the speed of the 2 cars going past. But the size of the Bentley, the size of the BMW, really no room for the pair of them to try and do something into Eau Rouge or up through over the top of Radio. So he's just going to sit there. Hopefully picked up some of the slipstream. Bentley very, very good over the curbs. That's one of the strengths of the M Sport team preparation of the Bentley. BMW having a little look down the inside into Bruxelles, but again, nothing can be done. So few places in reality as the BMW quicker through Bruxelles, try maybe to make the switch back and get a good run on the exit, and the run then down into Pujo as the Bentley runs very, very wide. Coming off the corner with no name, and is the BMW capable of getting down the inside? He's got to back out of it, can't take the chance. And of course the Lamborghini, which has been in for its service, it on new tyres, wants to use that to the most maximum effect. He wants to get back and ahead of these 2 cars who are battling for their position.
And the national class Porsche trying to hop out of the way. Phil Keane, of course, down the order now after making that earlier pit stop. 65 starters, 65 still circulating. I almost hesitate to say this, but apart from one spin into the gravel, we've got through pretty much without any damage thus far, and we couldn't say that a couple of years ago when we had that extraordinary race with damage every time you looked up virtually. Alessandro Pierguidi works his way down towards the bus stop chicane once more, and he will come in this time. So the number 50 Ferrari just the right side of the 65 minutes. Otherwise, if he carried on, he'd have been in trouble, and so too second and third, because if they do another lap, they've gone over 65 minutes, so it's no option.
Yeah, and we're going to see the same, no doubt, from 4th and 5th place with the Bentley and the BMW Frank Stippler. So the first car, the car that technically might well lead the race. No, it's not. Well, the first Pro-Am car, of course, still that Bentley 24 Callum McLeod. So pretty much everybody now going to beat into the pit lane. There is the number 7 Bentley that's come in. And what happened to the BMW? Did it stay out? No, it's come in as well.
Yeah. But Frank Stippler, he's in as well. Driver change at 50 Ferrari.
Surprised. I thought maybe Alessandro Pueguini would have stayed in. And he was doing a strong job in the Ferrari and do a 2-hour stint. But they've decided to rotate the drivers at this stage on an hourly basis.
More of the Mercedes coming in now for mandatory stops, the regulation routine stops, as the new tyres go onto the 50 Ferrari. So almost everybody now coming down the pit road. Bit of damage on the front of the Ferrari.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's contact damage. I suspect it must be, but there's no damage on the front splitter, which is very much lower, of course. So maybe something has been thrown or hit. I mean, there are bits of rock that get onto tracks from time to time, but that's damage to the front of the right of the Ferrari.
So 28 Audi serving its stop, and there is the slightly dog-eared Ferrari.
I mean, that's quite a substantial bang on the front of the car, so that might have just been contact on the opening lap. It doesn't appear to have done any significant damage to the car.
So where does the Ferrari feed back in relative to the number 16 Lamborghini? You're looking at the sister car here, 63, which comes into the pit lane, otherwise it'll be out of time. So in comes number 63, again another of the Grasser fleet, Anders Fjord back at the wheel of it. And as it comes down the pit road, cycled through the pit stops, and number 50 came in as the leading car, but number 16 should get the lead back here. Let's just see. Out of the bus stop, it was ahead by, a couple of seconds, give or take. So Mirko Bortolotti should hang on to the advantage, unless, of course, something has gone badly wrong for its pit stop, or something was very short in the Ferrari stop, which is making its way there down the pit lane, but he's still got an awful long way to travel at a slow speed.
Yes, and the Lamborghini up to race speed on that new set of tyres, so coming down the pit, down the straight down into Eau Rouge.
So up the rise they come, and the cars accelerate up the hill, so you've got now the Audis not only in a different order, but ahead of the Ferrari. So now Robin Frins ahead of René Rast, and they've both got themselves back very much into contention at the expense of the AF Corsa Ferrari.
Yeah, it's dropped back. It's got caught between a lot of the slower cars. A slow stop from the Ferrari, and of course that time lost is going to be really difficult for, and of course a new driver into the car. It's not Alessandro Pueguini who started, whereas the Audis, I believe, have retained their drivers, as did Mirko Bortolotti in the lead Lamborghini, or what will be the lead Lamborghini.
So the three of them then, first, second and third. You've got Bortolotti ahead, Frins second. Ignore the third of those cars, it's a lap down, the Conrad Lamborghini. So Frins has jumped ahead of Rast on the pit stops, but Bortolotti hanging on to the advantage. And now René Rast very busy. In fact, Laurens Vanthoor has taken over number 28. So another team, they're doing an early driver change. Frins stays in number 2, but at 28 they've elected to rotate the drivers. So Vanthoor held up in traffic, but number 50 Ferrari really has fallen a long way back after that first stop.
Yeah, Laurens Vanthoor in the 28. Audi forced to go the very long way around into Fagnes because the Lamborghini, which was being a lap down, just didn't seem to realise or didn't care. Anyway, we've now got the battle between the two Audis and the lead Lamborghini. The gap between Robin Frins and Mirko Bortolotti very much the same as it was earlier in the race between that of the Ferrari and the lead Lamborghini. Mirko Bortolotti never really having been headed once the light, other than briefly when the lights went out.
I'm intrigued to see, though, how much time has been lost by that number 50 Ferrari, because not only has it lost places, it's just lost masses of time as well. So the lead battle works its way up towards the chicane. Now, we also noticed the 86 Mercedes had been in a while ago. We've caught up with Gary Paffett to find out why.
Gary, you just came in for a stop. Was that a routine stop?
Yeah, I mean, it's the end of the time for the stop, so we had to refuel the cars. So, to be honest, we're just in traffic at the moment, so the tyres aren't getting that much of a hard time. So just refuel, getting back out there and try and make some more places up. But it's slow going. We're making progress, but it's pretty slow. You know, after the 5-minute stop go, it's going to make it hard work.
Are you feeling confident? How are you feeling?
I'm not confident we're going to win just yet because we're quite a long way behind, but we caught a bit of a break. There was a full course yellow when we did the stop, so we lost a lot less time than we thought, so that was good. So I still think we have a chance. There's a long way to go, but it's just, you lose like 5 seconds a lap in traffic some laps, so it's really hard work, but we're just going to keep going and see how we get.
And did you change the tyres?
No, we didn't change the tyres then. I say, because of the traffic, a lot of the times you're not pushing the tyres that hard. If you're going 3-4 seconds a lap off, and you save, 20 seconds, 25 seconds in a pit stop by not changing the tyres. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck. Thank you.
Well, clearly, a really not a risky strategy call. Ordinarily, it's better to change tyres at every pit stop. In other formula and other series, you can go 3 or 4 runs on a set of tyres. So if you haven't used your tyre, you roll the dice. It might work for you. Gary thinks it's going to work for his car. We'll wait and see.
Absolutely right, but it saves them time in the pits. That's the key thing, because it's fuel and changing more than one tyre that brings you into that minimum pit stop window time. So if you don't change tyres, then you gain a massive chunk of time. And if, as he says, they're not working the tyres in traffic, then it's very significant indeed. Now, one car that is absolutely flying out on track is the Bronizeski Bonacini Rizzoli Piccini Ferrari, which is in 42nd place, number 11. It's a Pro-Am car, but it's doing purple sectors.
Not just purple sectors, its last lap was at 2:21, but all around them are doing 27s, 52s. I mean, it's, well, in fact, it's just, no, it's not. 2:22 on the last lap. That car is flying. I mean, it clearly is doing it in clear air. Now, be careful, Mirko Bortolotti. That was way off the track coming out of turn 17. So he's going to have to be on his toes and make sure that under pressure from the number 2 Audi of Robin Friends, that's not going to happen. Maxime Soulet right now currently down in 5th place. He's gone fastest overall in the second sector. So the battle with Nicky Katzberg, who's 6 seconds behind him, not really an issue. He's trying to run down the 50, which is the AF Corsa. Ferrari now passing Lothaurus behind the wheel.
Giacomo Piccini at number 11's helm, incidentally, that very quick Ferrari. As you look at the lead situation now, so you've got Bortolotti versus Frins. Changes, doesn't it, with different segments of the race. We've been talking about Lamborghini versus Ferrari, now it's Lamborghini versus Audi, and it's not been the quickest of the Audis hitherto, but on that good pit stop, Frins gets ahead of 28, and now, all of a sudden, is in that leading battle.
Track position, track position, track position, that's what it's all about. Get out there, you can make up all that space just simply by doing smart pit stops, quick pit stops. You may not be quick on a lap, but if you can use all the other elements to your advantage, that's going to give you track position.
The best of the Mercedes, incidentally, after the earlier stop-and-go penalty, Maro Engel has got himself up into 35th. He's just come in for a routine pit stop, and I reckon that's a bit late. Now, there is a spin, which is the 42. We saw the car rejoining Sylvain Debs, but that's the start of it. We'd seen him getting going out of the bus stop. That's how he got himself in the wrong direction in the first place. So, race lead battle, well and truly joined, isn't it? Bortolotti versus Frins as they work their way downhill absolutely together. Laurens Vanthoor behind. Now, he was, 1.3 seconds adrift at the start of the lap. He might get himself back into the mix here, because just look at the wall of traffic up the road ahead of the leaders.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing you've got are 2 cars, 3 cars involved, engaged in their own battle. Bertolotti looking one way, Robin Friends trying to anticipate what Bertolotti is going to do, and he is hoping now to get the shot coming up behind the Lamborghini. He couldn't get any closer coming through the exit of Stavlo. He's going to have to try and stay as close as the Lamborghini as he can, but the best chance he has will be using traffic, maybe into something like the bus stop chicane. But right now, the gap is too great. And again, Bertolotti's got to be careful coming into... way off. Now, that might be seen as a bit of force majeure. Nevertheless, it'll be noted. And again, he can't get the job done under brakes.
And this, in theory, is a slower car that he's trying to find a way past a lap. But Bortolotti has got Frins right up behind him. And look, Laurens Vanthoor is getting closer again in 28, isn't he? He's chipping away, but now the back marker goes one side and then the other. Is he being cooperative or is he not? Well, Bortolotti finally gets a run up the inside.